Charlotte, always say please, thank you, and you're welcome. Elodie, it's always a good idea to be respectful to your elders and always be polite to them. Joni, did you have enough saved up for that before you went ahead and bought that? Samantha, don't worry about the bullies. Don't even pay any mind to those mean kids. Play with the friends that you do like and hang out with them. No, Elodie, you don't get to stay at home with Nai because we always go as a family to go see Jesus. It's easy to understand when you speak to children, mine, very young ones at that, about what they should and shouldn't do. The purpose is very clear, it's self-explanatory. And when we tell them, it's there to protect and guide them. So as I turn the corner of 40 years on this planet, a seasoned person, if you will, I think to myself, what a wonderful life of experience and knowledge that I've gained, and what an opportunity it is to give some of that knowledge to my children. So I should write a letter to them and explain some of the things that I've experienced so that maybe they can skip some of the heartaches that I've been through. And with that being said, it's a great opportunity to impart on them my values and some of my expertise in a letter. Dear kids, as I write to you today at the ripe old age of 40, I would like to impart on you some wonderful experiences that I've had. It's been a life full of joy and some heartache, but for what I am trying to do is to try to share with you the things that I value most in my life. Now this letter can go on, but instead I've summarized it into the do's and don'ts from each decade of my life. And hopefully these words will tell you the things that I feel are important, and hopefully you will find important as well as you become adults. The first decade, don't waste time on mean people. This is always going to be the case. You are going to run into bullies in your life, people who just don't like you for whatever reason. Ignorance, envy, fear. I grew up as a Chinese kid living in Miami, Florida, surrounded in a community of Hispanics, Cubans. Do you think I had a unique situation? Absolutely. Did I have to endure taunts, jeers, name calling? Absolutely. Oye, Chinito! What did that mean? I come to find out, a little Chinese boy. So what? I was able to overcome a lot of that, I think, due to the pragmatism of my father, your grandfather. He was a very practical man. He told me, son, understand this. You are Chinese. You are always going to be the smallest kid in your class. You will never be the strongest. So whenever you see trouble coming around that corner, you run the other way. Because I don't have that much insurance. And if somebody comes up to you and they want to pick a fight, and they're calling you names, you just smile and you pretend that they're giving you a compliment. Yes, thank you very much, sir. That'll diffuse the situation. They'll think you're stupid and just move on. I'll tell you what, that was perfect advice for me because I've never gotten into a fight. It actually carried me throughout my adulthood. There have been plenty of times, even in college, where the slanders came, whatever was said. But I kept my father's words in my mind, your grandfather, and it kept me out of trouble. So I thank him for that. Do appreciate the people who are there to help you and our family. When I grew up at a very young age, I realized that my family, or your grandparents, had a lot of help. They didn't come to the U.S. unaided. They wanted to live in the land of the free and opportunity. They had relatives and friends that were very eager to help them. So they got together and they got funding. And they sent them over to America and they landed in New York. And when they got there was a nice gentleman, German guy named Jürgen. He helped them out by helping them establish their U.S. citizenship. Then there was this nice old lady, Griselda Kellerman. She became your father's nanny for the longest time. She loved the little Chinese boy across the hall, so much so she treated him like a grandson. And then there was Ivor and Rita Rose in Miami, who helped your grandparents get established with a business in Miami when they moved from New York to Miami because their son, your father, couldn't stand the cold and always caught tuberculosis. So, my parents, your grandparents, were very appreciative of all these people that have helped them along the way to get to where they are. And likewise, I am very appreciative to those people who also helped us out as a family. The second decade. Don't do anything you can't undo. Most of the time, it's being able to say things that you would regret later on. Yes, even if you have the gift of undressing somebody, dressing down somebody, Floridian slip, dressing down somebody at the moment that you want to, and basically tearing them a new one, don't do it. A lot of times you can't take those words back. Your aunt, my sister, and I, when we were very young, had a very bad argument. And words were spoken that were very hurtful. And it took a long time for us to heal. And yes, the saying, time heals all wounds, does apply. But rather than learning that lesson yourself, don't do it. Especially now in this age of social media, Twitter, Facebook, once you say it out on cyberspace, you cannot take it back. They own it. And you can never take back those things that are now in perpetuity. So just save yourself that trouble. And always protect your modesty and your reputation. Do instead be proud of who you are and your heritage, your family. You realize that the Shu family came from the other side of the world. They traveled a far way to get over here, and they had to go through a lot of strife to get here. Your grandparents had to go through a lot of manual labor, working in the flea markets for many years, and they sacrificed so much to give your father and your aunt some benefits that they never had. And because of that, they are now enjoying and watching the fruits of their labor come to life. They are very happy to see their grandchildren have a life of privilege that they never had. So be very proud of your family, because that's where they came from very modest beginnings. The third decade. Don't live beyond your means. Your father had to learn this the hard way. He went to college, and there was these wonderful things called credit card applications that just filled his mailbox. And he applied, and he got whatever he wanted. He spent like a rock star. And then even when he did get a job, he lived like a rock star because he didn't care. And it took a long while before he could get out of credit card debt. Meanwhile, he had his friends that were also working, and they stowed away money. And they bought houses at age 23, 24. It took a while for your father to finally get a house. Luckily, he found a very wonderful girl who straightened him out. So I'm going to save you that heartache too, because in this world that we live in, especially in the United States, consumerism is king, and they are going to try to sell you everything, and it's very hard to say no. So avoid that trap if possible. Do instead what you're passionate about. Don't give up on your dreams, because when I was growing up, loved playing video games as a child. I imagined one day I was going to design video games for other kids to play. Alas, that boat missed me. But I was fortunate enough to actually land in a job that is within the technology industry. Not as exciting or fun, but somewhat bearable. However, I do have my second passion fulfilled. I am in a position now to help mentor and guide others. That is something that I found as a passion of mine. And I look to you to answer your callings with your passion as well. Fourth decade. Don't second guess your instincts. Your instincts are there to serve and protect you and help you survive. My instinct was, I want to be a husband and father one day to many children. And I've achieved such goals. A lot of times when people when I tell people I'm about to have my 5th child, there's really 2 reactions. One is beyond belief, especially in this day and age. The second one is surprisingly regret. A lot of people I tell that we're having our 5th child tell me, I wish we didn't stop at 2. I wish we could have kept on going. So I knew, as well as your mother, knew that we wanted to have a large family. That was our instinct. We wanted that, and that's what we've achieved. So don't second guess yourself. If you know it, do it. Lastly, what you should do. Give your faith a chance. Luckily for me, when I grew up in Miami, I was surrounded by a lot of Hispanic folks that are Catholic. And I got brought up Catholic through my schooling. And that Catholic base helped me establish a great relationship with your mother when we first met. We had common values. We believed the same things. And that made our marriage much easier than most because we started at the same base. We raised you Catholic for a very particular purpose because we believe that there has to be something else other than yourself that you have to give thanks for. So when we drag you off to church every Sunday, and we know it's painful when you have to put on those little dresses and get all dressed up, it's not easy, but we believe this is something that's necessary in order for us to be, the human beings that we are. It builds value and character. So with that being said, give it a chance, and rather than shun it before you give it a chance. So with that being said, you can see with my summary and what I've told you of my experience over the last 40 years, it really isn't that far off from Charlotte. Always please, thank you, and you're welcome. Joni, always be polite and respectful to your elders. Elodie, yes, it's important that you come with us to church. Thank you.